Hello friends, welcome to Ecoholics YouTube channel. My name is Avinash Agarwal. Today is 12th October 2024 and we will be discussing four important articles from the Press Information Bureau regarding government schemes and programs which has helped the country move ahead in the right direction so far as the economic growth and development is concerned. आप जानते हैं that every Saturday we are dedicating time towards discussing these articles, these government schemes, programs. Essentially, we are looking at the government's point of view. In this, we are dedicating one Saturday for government's point of view. We are dedicating the Saturday for government schemes. We are dedicated one Saturday for governmental programs. Why? Because over the years, if you analyze the kind of questions that have been asked in various examinations, be it the civil services examination or the Indian economic service examination or RBI kind of examinations or any other examination that you're preparing for, as a matter of fact, they will ask you questions on flagship government schemes and programs. They will ask you to analyze what's happening so far as governmental efforts is concerned, so far as tackling India's socio-economic challenges are concerned. So keeping that in mind, we are doing this discussion. So आज के जो मेरे चार articles हैं, right, to very quickly tell you. So first article gives you a very rosy picture about India's employment scenario, right? So this is, I would say, a very benign view of what's happening in the Indian economy. मालूम होना चाहिए. You should also know how to look at this particular side of interpretations. So this is India's employment growth, which says that it's a robust story. So this is our article number 1 that we'll be discussing. I'm sorry. Article number 2 speaks about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi or PM Kisan. So I'm sure that most of us are aware of what PM Kisan is. Matlab, headline definition is known to everybody about PM Kisan. But what does it really do, right? What are the nitty-gritties? What is it trying to achieve? These are some of the important points that we'll be discussing in this article. So this is going to be my second discussion. My third discussion is around, so after everything about PM Kisan is discussed, my third discussion is going to be around NABARD's survey on rural financial inclusion. Okay. So if they have done a survey and a body as important as NABARD has done a survey, and that too on a topic as important as rural financial inclusion, so it is very important for us to know what they are coming out with this in this survey. What is it that they are saying in the survey? And finally, we discuss about skilling India, empowering the workforce. So all the initiatives which have been taken so far as Skill India is concerned, or so far as developing the right skill set in the country is concerned. So we are looking at all of those topics in this particular last discussion or last article. So these are my four articles. I will obviously not be able to discuss each and every article ka, each and every line ka, each and every word. So I'll be flying over this particular document, giving you 80% understanding, 80% exposure to all the major ideas of this document, such that tomorrow when you sit with this document yourself, so you are in a position to use it without wasting time. A lot of students ask me that, sir, why do you bring such verbose PPTs? आप इतने सारे words वाली PPT या इतने सारे words वाला document क्यों लेकर बैठते हो? मैं इतने सारे words वाला document इसलिए लेकर बैठता हूँ because मेरा हमेशा से ये मानना है कि आप अगर क्लास के अंदर आ रहे हो तो आपको क्लास के बाद जाकर वही चीज वापस पढ़ने के अंदर 15-20 मिनट से ज्यादा नहीं लगना चाहिए. दैट इज द पर्पस ऑफ कमिंग टू द क्लास. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आधी घंटे की क्लास के बाद घर पे जाके 1 घंटा पढ़ रहे हो. वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम है. किसी के पास इतना टाइम नहीं है आज के दिन. विच इज वाई आई ट्राई टू डाउनलोड द एंटायर डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर यू इन योर माइंड इन द क्लास इटसेल्फ, राइट? सो गवर्नमेंट इज प्रेजेंटिंग, और पीआईबी के अंदर एक आर्टिकल आया है, इट इज प्रेजेंटिंग that India is having significant employment growth, that we have added 170 million jobs between 2016 and 2023, right? So 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23. 7 years and 170 million jobs, right? So 170 million jobs divided by 7 years comes out to 24 million jobs are being created. Right, 24 million jobs have been created is what this article is saying per annum in the last 7 years. 24 million jobs. every commentator in India says that we require approximately 8 to 10 million jobs per year. That is what we need to be able to give employment to the youth which is entering the workforce and to be able to pull people out of agriculture. So if this number is correct, over here, then that means that जो भी commentators बोल रहे हैं that we need 8 to 10 million jobs per year, उसका 3x या 2.5x is what we are achieving. So we don't need to be worried about employment at all, is what your conclusion can be if you are looking at this number and you think that this number is in the right direction, right? So this is the idea over here, right? Keep this 170 million jobs wala number in mind. Okay, this is all based on some reports within government or some reports which have been published, right? Unfortunately, now this article is not giving us any very clear this thing के number पकड़ा कहाँ से गया है. Now they say that this number has been picked up from Observer Research Foundation. So ORF के अंदर anybody can write anything, right? उस ORF के आर्टिकल के सोर्स क्या है, डेटा का सोर्स क्या है, राइट? बट ठीक है, लेट्स जस्ट गो विद दिस आर्टिकल बिकॉज इट्स बीन पब्लिश्ड ऑन PIB. सो ORF के अंदर एक आर्टिकल पब्लिश हुआ, उसके बेसिस के ऊपर ये आर्टिकल जो है क्रिएट करा गया है. अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट ट्रेंड्स इन इंडिया. ओके, so this is an important number over here. So your worker population ratio has been steadily increasing. Okay, this is what this particular table is showing. Your unemployment rate is steadily declining. That means two things. If you add these two things over here, it means that more number of people out of our population are willing to participate in the workforce and are there finding work. Because who is a worker? Worker is somebody who is working, correct? So your worker population ratio increasing means it's a very good thing that people are not only coming out of the houses to look for work, but they are actually getting work, which is when a person becomes worker. Because when you are in house, when you are not even looking for work, so you are out of the labor force. You are out of the labor force. When you are looking for work, not finding work, you are unemployed. And when you are getting work, that time you become worker. That is when you become worker, right? So I would like to repeat myself that if you are sitting at home, not even looking for work, you are outside the labor force. When you are looking for work, not finding work, you are unemployed. When you are looking for work, getting work, you are worker. Okay, so worker population ratio increasing is a positive, very big positive. Simultaneously, unemployment rate is coming down. So that basically means that there are more number of jobs in the economy. That means therefore there are more number of workers in the economy. Then that means that new jobs have been added. New jobs have been added in the economy. This is how you are supposed to interpret this particular table over here. I hope that you are appreciating what I am trying to say, right? This is what you are supposed to be interpreting over here. ठीक है guys? So India की employment growth is robust. GDP growth is 6.5%. There is a steady rise in employment since 1980s, right? It's not just recently. The article says that we have been creating jobs. This is this particular graphic over here, again very informative over here, right? This is the period since 2016-17 that I have encircled over here, right? So it clearly shows that with rising GVA, jobs are also getting created. So the idea of this particular article is that jobless growth is not a problem in India. It's not as if that India's growth is not generating jobs. It is very much generating jobs. Okay, I've already explained to you about the worker population ratio. So that has increased by 9 percentage points. Okay, so your worker population ratio was 35. It has increased to 45.6. In rural areas, it was 33.9. It has increased to 38.9. It was 34.7. It has increased to 43.7. This is as per the PLFS data apparently. Right. Now what I don't understand, and I will have no way of explaining this, that why is it that we have one set of worker population ratio over here and the numbers don't match, and another set of worker population ratios over here, jinka numbers are not matching. So I don't know what this is. Probably this is not worker population ratio. This is something else. This is maybe labor force participation rate or something. I don't know what this is. Honestly, I don't know. Right. So anyways, this is an article which is telling us what it is telling us, that consumption driven growth is happening in India. Consumption is increasing, right? That employment elasticity is there. What is employment elasticity as a concept? Let me explain the concept to you at least. So employment elasticity means that, let's say that, there is a 1% increase in production. Okay. As compared to last year, this year, today we are producing 1% more, let us say. So how many jobs, what percentage new jobs have been created because of this additional 1% production that you are having, right? That is the concept of employment elasticity. That if you are having a 1% increase in production this year as compared to last year, then what is the percentage of new jobs that you have added? What is the percentage of new jobs that you have added in the economy? That is what employment elasticity speaks about. So the article claims that between this time period, there has been a 1.11% increase in jobs for 1% increase in value added. That is what this article is claiming over here, right? So employment elasticity is also not a problem. Sectoral observation, if you look at the labor capital ratio, that is also favorable for labor. So the labor capital ratio for the overall economy is 1.11, but for the services sector it is 1.17. So labor capital ratio is also very much in the right direction, right? Economic survey has also painted a positive picture about the employment scenario in India, that labor market indicators have improved, sectoral distribution of employment is improving in the sense that people are being pulled out of agriculture into industries and services. If you see agriculture's contribution to India's employment, so that has declined to around 40 to 45%. There's a decline in youth unemployment. There's a rise in female labor force participation rate. There is a recovery in organized manufacturing employment. What is organized manufacturing employment? 10 or more workers, electricity wala factory registered under the Factories Act of 1948, right? So these kind of factories are your organized manufacturing employment. So there is a recovery happening over there. Wage growth is happening in rural and urban areas. Expansion of EPFO payroll is happening consistently. The gig economy is firing on all the cylinders, and of course manufacturing sector and artificial intelligence are growing together. Now there is a lot of data points which have been provided over here. Obviously I will not be sitting and discussing each and every data point, and I'm sure that each and every data point is in the positive direction. There is no doubt about that in our mind, so by now, right? So the overall picture is that the progressive picture of India needs to be communicated. Employment landscape has significantly improved, right? Demographic dividend is very much being utilized. We need to focus on education, health, skill development, and that will help us in sustaining this already very fantastic and strong trajectory that we are working on, right? So this is one article done. I hope you are appreciating, right, the content that has been discussed. We may not agree, or we may not disagree, or we may have different points of views, but this is a point of view which has been presented, and you better be aware of this point of view, right? My next article is on Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. It's schemes of government of India. So typically when you write answers, it's good if you can give some quotations. It's good if you can give some statistics. Now you don't need to quote people who are no longer in the world, or people who are like, extremely well known, etc. Of course, Prime Minister Modi is very well known. No, there's no doubt about that. What I'm trying to say is that you can give these kinds of quotations of present ministers and presidents and governors and chief ministers. Very much you can give these quotations. You can, of course, shorten these quotations. You can give them in your own words, right? There's nobody going to penalize you, but try to give this kind of quotation, right? So the idea over here is that 9.4 commerce, they have received the 18th installment amounting to 20,000 crore under PM Kisan, right? Total disbursement under the scheme has crossed 3.45 lakh crore since the scheme was started, right? And 11 crore farmers across our country have been receiving this transfer. So the key features, I'm sure you're aware of the key features, but the key features of the scheme is that we are providing financial 6,000 rupees per year, 2,000 rupees per 4 months get transferred to our farmer friends, 100% funded by Government of India, and the payment is going directly into the bank account of farmers. So farmers have been mapped, their bank accounts have been mapped, their Aadhaar numbers have been mapped. We know exactly who the farmers are in our country, right? Now, what is the background? So this scheme was launched in 2019, right? 6,000 rupees, 3 installments, 2,000 rupees every 4 months through DBT is getting transferred. So this is one of the most transparent and the largest direct benefit transfer schemes across the world, right? Across the world. Of course, these numbers is not relevant for you. You don't need to focus on these numbers, right? So what are the highlights? So basically this has a massive outreach and a digital integration wala scheme, right? So we are being able to implement this scheme because of the JAM Trinity Jandhan Aadhaar mobile, right? We have literally been able to map everything, right? So massive DPI, the digital public infrastructure that we have created, that massive DPI is enabling us to run this kind of a scheme, whether it is enrollment, authentication, disbursement, right? Money is not getting pilfered by and large, right? It's a game changer in that sense. Completely accountable, highly efficient way of getting things done with zero corruption and zero delays. Of course, there are reports which come out and say that a lot of Kisans are not getting this money regularly. Those people are getting who should not be getting it. There are some problems. There's nobody denying it, right? But the positive point is that this scheme is enabling a massive outreach, and this scheme has been enabled by a fantastic digital public infrastructure. Financial assistance at critical intervals is being afforded to farmer friends, especially your small and marginal farmers. You have to appreciate that if you're a medium or a large farmer, you don't even need this 2000 rupees, honestly. You shouldn't be getting it. But let's forget about that right now. In India, 80% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers. This 6000 rupees, trust me guys when I say this, that getting this amount of money, you know what you're going to do with it. Like for example, we were discussing in one of the lectures that government is providing pension, government is providing insurance, etc. to our farmer friends, and these are contributory schemes in the sense that they are highly subsidized, but farmer friends, they have to give some kind of contribution in the form of, copay. They also need to put some amount of money for pension. They also need to pay some amount of money for insurance, very small, but they have to pay some amount of money. Now what the is that they have linked the deduction of these payments from these accounts with the PM Kisan money that is coming in. So the PM Kisan money first comes in over here, and then you get they do the deductions for pension, providing pension to the farmers and providing, let's say, Bima to the farmers. This is very good. This is very good because a government is putting money into the account, a decent amount of money, and then very small sums of money is getting deducted out of those accounts, pension and insurance to the farmer. ऐसे करके ये जो है काम होने लग रहा है. So this is extremely helpful. ठीक है, this is extremely helpful. ठीक है, so relief from money lenders, because you don't need to borrow from money lenders in times of urgency. You know that you can use this money, and inclusive and equitable support is being provided, especially to small and marginal farmers, right? So again, this is a very important example of cooperative federalism as well, because ultimately it is the states that need to register and verify the eligibility of farmers. Government of India cannot go to every district, every kasba, every particular gaon and go around registering and verifying farmers. So while the government of India is putting all the money on the bill, the registration and verification part is coming from the state government, right? And 85% of small and marginal farmers, they are beneficiaries under the scheme. So yeah, good. Promoting inclusivity, I have already explained it to you. Technology for transparency, I have already explained it to you. The DPI part, the digital public infrastructure part, right? So you see that there is an integration of multiple digital platforms over here. So you have Aadhaar, which is integrated. You have a public for financial transfer, which is integrated. You have NPCI, which is integrated for secure payments. You have the income tax department integrated for income verification. Because if you are an income tax filer, then you're out of this scheme. We don't give money to you, right? Which is good. Because if you're an income tax filer, means that you have multiple sources of income apart from farming as well. So you don't need this money, right? So the fact that we have been able to so seamlessly integrate UIDI, PFMS, NPCI, income tax department, it's not a small thing, guys, by any stretch of imagination, right? So because of these integrations, what has happened is that you get easy access and grievance redressal also, right? That if you're a farmer, you have grievance, you can register your grievance. There is a portal which has been created, 24/7 helpline has been created. There is something called as Kisan E-Mitra, which is basically an AI powered chatbot, right? So Kisan E-Mitra is there. Okay. It allows farmers to raise queries, get real-time solutions, supports 11 languages. So this is a very, very prelim kind of question or a very MCQ kind of information that has been provided over here. There is doorstep delivery with common service centers and IPPB, right? So 5 lakh common service centers across the country are there. They have been onboarded, right? Kisans can be registered, their bank details can be updated, they can seek assistance through the common service centers if they are having any problem. And of course, there is Indian Post Payments Bank, right, which is also helping in Aadhaar linkage, in identification, etc. There is something called as AgriStack which has been introduced, right? So AgriStack is basically a technological framework which will provide comprehensive services to farmers. ठीक है? So every farmer को हम एक unique farmer ID देंगे which will be linked to their Aadhaar, right? और ये फार्मर आईडी को हम कनेक्ट करेंगे विद लैंड एंड क्रॉप इंफॉर्मेशन सो दैट गवर्नेंस के अंदर उस इंफॉर्मेशन को यूज करा जा सके, राइट? सो पीएम किसान की डिलीवरी तो एनहेंस होगी होगी. जो वेरियस गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स एंड प्रोग्राम्स है, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल वी हैव स्कीम्स एंड प्रोग्राम्स सपोर्टिंग पर्टिकुलर क्रॉप्स. सो इफ देयर इज अ फार्मर हु इज ग्रोइंग अ पर्टिकुलर क्रॉप, तो उसको भी हम सपोर्ट कर पाएंगे, राइट? सो 100% कवरेज ऑफ फार्मर्स विल बिकम पॉसिबल. वन स्टॉप सोल्यूशन विल गेट क्रिएटेड. So this is again a massive intervention which is going to be very, very positive, right? You have already understood these numbers, so there's no point wasting time again on these numbers, right? So the money which has been transferred, a lot of the money was transferred during COVID period, right? So that's again very, very positive, because during COVID, if support is provided to the beneficiaries, to the consumers, then that's positive, that's good, right? Apart from that, right, in 6 lakh PVTG farmers were added to PM Kisan scheme. PVTG is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So these are those tribal groups which have extremely small populations. Apart from the fact that they are living in some of the remotest areas and facing some of the most difficult socio-economic conditions in terms of indicators of growth and development. So even PVTG farmers have been included in this. World Bank has appreciated the efforts. International Food Policy Research Institute has appreciated the efforts, right? And overall, you can understand that if you were a Kisan, what would you do with the money? What would be the benefits? So you'll be able to buy your essential needs. You'll be able to buy seeds, fertilizers, pesticides that will help in improving your productivity. It will bring financial stability. It will relieve you from the clutches of money lenders and so on and so forth. Apart from the fact that this money which is coming, making your own social security payments for government subsidized programs, right? So essentially we are trying to saturate you with a lot of governmental initiatives benefits, right? So that's my second article done. So I hope that you are appreciating the effort that has been taken, right? So that's the idea over here. Okay. I don't know whether my internet is a little patchy right now or not, but if it is, please forgive me. Everything should be going okay. But I do see a notification in my software which says that YouTube is not receiving enough video. I'm not sure. So if you all can comment, let me know if the the video is okay, then that would be great. That would be nice, right? Moving ahead, let us speak about the NABARD survey on rural financial inclusion, right? So this is the second All India Rural Financial Inclusion Survey. It's called NAFIS, NABARD All India Financial Inclusion Survey. That is what NAFIS is standing for, right? This is providing primary data. 1 lakh rural households have been surveyed, right? And it is giving us a good amount of information what's happening. ठीक है? तो जो पहला सर्वे था, that was done during this July and June 2016-17 period, right? And उसके बाद से this NAFIS has been coming. Now this NAFIS 21-22 results, right, is something that we are now discussing. So they have published the finding. I don't know why they have taken so much time, that they did the survey in 21-22, but they have released the findings only in 2024. I don't know why, but ठीक है, देर आए दुरुस्त आए. Probably we need this survey more often, right? So strengthening of rural population is what the survey is talking about. So there is an increase in average monthly income of households. 57.6% increase over 5-year period, right? So average monthly income of households has increased from 8,000, let us say, to 12,500, let us say, right? So the CAGR is 9.5%. The CAGR is 9.5%, right? And if you look at the nominal GDP growth of the country, that was 9%. So the nominal GDP growth is 9%. Rural population ka average month is increasing by 9.5% is what the survey is saying, right? So that's the idea over here. ठीक है? Average monthly income of all the houses is around 12,600. Agricultural households की income is around 13,600, right? And non-agricultural households, यानी कि those who are landless, don't have dependence on agriculture, उनकी इनकम कम है, दैट इज टुवर्ड्स 11,500, राइट? ऐसे करके कुल मिला के ये हेडलाइन नंबर आपको ध्यान में रखने हैं, राइट? Obviously, for agricultural households, cultivation was the main source of monthly. This is again a breakup over here, which is probably very helpful. Okay, so you can see over here that all sources combined for agricultural households, this is the number. 33% of the income is coming from cultivation. ठीक है, उसके बाद the next biggest contributor is the government or private service, because typically any farming household, it knows that unless of course they are medium to large farmers, right? If you are a small or marginal farmer or even a tenant farmer, you know that you probably can't rely on agriculture as your only source of income. You need to do something else as well, right? So out of this 13,600, this much is coming from wage labor, right? This much is coming from other enterprises, livestock rearing. So this is diversification of income sources. Non-agricultural households, they don't have access to cultivation, right? Probably they are too resourceless to be going into livestock rearing, right? So they are primarily either dependent on private service or even a larger dependence on, let's say, wage labor, right? So that's the idea that you need to have in mind. So you need to formulate policies differently for different sets of households in rural areas. You cannot create a one size fits all policy, is the first takeaway out of this particular discussion. And the earlier discussion, it focused on PM Kisan. PM Kisan's biggest problem is that it doesn't do anything for tenant farmers, right? So we need to do something for tenant farmers as well. And more helpless than farmers is those who are landless laborers in rural areas. Anything for them directly, the way we are able to do a direct benefit transfers for farmer friends, we need to do also something for the landless laborer friends of ours, right? So there is a rise in average monthly expenditure, right? From let's say 6,600 to let's say 11,200. There's an increase in financial savings, right? So your annual average financial savings is about 13,200 from 9,100. I'm only looking at the headline numbers of every point. You will not be able to take these numbers in exam. I'm reasonably sure of that, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of what's happening. Kisan credit card is a very important tool of financial inclusion. 44% of agricultural households, right, they were having a Kisan credit card. That means that there is a lot of ground still remaining for us to cover, which is not a bad thing. We can do that, right? Apart from that, जिनके पास भी 0.4 हेक्टेयर से ज्यादा की लैंड होल्डिंग है, 77% of those characters have a valid KCC also, which is again a very good thing. That A, you should possess the KCC, B, you should possess a valid KCC, right? Insurance coverage, right? So percentage of households with at least one member covered with some form of insurance, whether government provided or whatever. So that has increased from 25% to 80%, which is again quite significant, right? Because government is providing a variety of different insurance services. They are trying to provide personal insurance, they are trying to provide accidental insurance, they are trying to provide health insurance, they are trying to provide crop insurance, right? So that's happening. Okay. Again, agricultural households are doing better than non-agricultural households, right? Which is always understandable. Pension coverage, right? It was 18%, has increased to 6%, right? Financial literacy was around 33%, has increased to 51.3%, right? And all these improvements that we are seeing over here, they can all be mapped to one flagship scheme of the government or other, whether it is PM Kisan or whether it is Kisan Mandhan Yojana or whether it is Manrega or whether it is Awas Yojana or it is Gram Sadak Yojana or it is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana Rural Livelihood Mission or it is Gramin Kaushalya Yojana, right? So these are the schemes which are helping us bring about the improvement that we just spoke about, right? So even if you are not able to remember everything, which I'm sure you will not be able to, nobody will be able to, so you have to focus on some important pointers over here. Increase in monthly income, right? Secondly, there is a rise in average monthly expenditure. There is an increase in financial savings. There is an increase in right? We want to become the skill capital, so-called, of the world. So they start with a positive number. They say that employability of graduates is a problem. We acknowledge that, right? So earlier only one third of our graduates or final year students were employable, right? But now we are having one half of, let's say, our final year and pre-final year students. One half of your final year and pre-final year students getting employable, right? And we have also launched the Pradhan Mantri Prime Minister's Internship Scheme 2024, right? So this scheme has been launched. Okay, they're going to try and provide 1 crore youth over the next 5 years internship opportunities, top 500 companies, right? So 12 month का internship is what we are trying to offer. 12-month internship. Wow. ठीक है. So pilot project for this has been launched on 3rd October 2024. ठीक है. 1.25 lakh internship for financial year 24-25. So that's the idea over here. 1 crore internship opportunities. Just remember the flagship numbers, guys. So 12 months is important. Age group should be 21 to 24 years, right? You should have completed high school or secondary or ITI diploma, you know, or you should be a BA, BSc, BCom, BCA, BBA, BPharm, etc. kind of. मतलब कुछ ना कुछ आपने 10th स्टैंडर्ड के ऊपर का काम करा हुआ होना चाहिए, right? Launch date is known to you, target is known to you. Monthly stipend for selected interns will be provided, 5,000 rupees. Who will provide, that is something that remains to be seen. We have created a dedicated portal and we are covering almost all the important sectors, because when you are targeting the top 500 companies of the country, then you are targeting practically every sector in the economy, right? So interns will get 5,000 rupees per month. 500 will be contributed by the company through its CSR fund. 4,500 is transferred by the government to interns' Aadhaar linked bank account. So you can see that there's a 90:10 split over here, right? Most of the heavy lifting is being done by the government. You just need to open your doors. You just need to open your doors, right? Apart from that, one-time grant of 6,000 will be disbursed to each intern through DBT, right? मतलब you need to make your traveling arrangements, or you need to purchase maybe a bag or something like that. I don't know, maybe, right? So that is also being provided. Training costs will be borne through the CSR funds अगर उनकी ट्रेनिंग करवा रहे हैं तो. Insurance coverage will be provided to each individual intern, right? So whether it is your Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, whether it is Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, insurance will be provided, right? Accidental insurance will be provided. So you see that the idea over here, what I'm understanding from even my own this thing is that once your interns have been mapped, right, then we will be saturating them with a lot of youth related benefits, right? We have also launched the India Institute of Skills. The details have been provided over here, right? There are other recent initiatives, right, such as Swiggy Skills, Strive Project, PM Janman, Sankalp, राष्ट्रीय उद्यमिता विकास परियोजना, right? So a lot of initiatives have been provided. So at least go through this document, right, and capture these flagship initiatives, flagship schemes. Tomorrow if you're writing whether an essay or you're writing an answer on skill development, if these schemes are not mentioned in your answers are incomplete. So with this, I guess I can bring this session to an end. Detailed and an elaborate discussion on government schemes. Do let me know through your reactions and comments what you feel about the discussion that we have provided. I would love to hear back from you. Thank you so much. All the best. See you on Monday. Bye bye.